Good morning, all.
Okay, as usual, it's my pleasure to chair this meeting on reorganization. And just before we do roll call, we have two new returning members to swear in. And so I believe they've been provided with their oaths. So Greg, if I could ask you to read your oath and make the attestation, and then with our attorney's acquiescence and agreement, we'll accept that and seat you on the board.
I, Gregory B. Stafford Smith, do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and the governments established in the United States and in the state under the authority of the people. I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of my office as a member of the Lakewood Industrial Commission for a term to expire on December 31st, 2025, according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent.
You are hereby seated. And Mr. Calabro.
All right. I, Thomas Calabro, do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of member of the Lakewood Industrial Commission for a term to expire December 31st, 2025, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Sworn and subscribed before my witness.
Congratulations. Welcome back aboard.
Thank you.
We're back.
Okay. Anita, if I can ask you to do a roll call now.
Absolutely. Mr. Calabro.
Here.
Mr. Flansbaum.
Here.
Mr. Halverson.
Here.
Mr. Katz. Mr. Schuster.
Here.
Mr. Stafford Smith.
Here.
Mr. Kirschner.
Mr. Kirschner. Yeah, he's saying yes.
He's waving.
He says here. Okay. We have a quorum?
Thank you. I'd like to read the notice.
Please.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the Byron and Bear Open Public Meetings Act by notice published in the Asbury Park Press and the Newark Star Ledger.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so the first order of business is the election of our officers for 2021, and I will now open the floor to nominations for chairman.
Steve,
Kirschner.
Greg, do you want to make the nominations?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Bob Kirschner.
Second that nomination.
Okay, we have a nomination for Robert M. Kirschner. Do we see any more nominations? Seeing none, I'll close the floor to nominations. And all in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. Kirschner. Back aboard.
Thank you, everyone.
Welcome.
I think it's in non-WebEx days, it would be easier for me to just turn the gavel over to you, but if with your permission, I'll continue to roll through the officers. So we'll open the floor to nominations for vice chairman.
Nominate Justin Flansbaum.
I second.
I have again Greg Stafford Smith as the nominator and Tom Calabro as the second. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close the floor to nominations. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Mr. Flansbaum, on your
Thank you very
reappointment.
much, everybody. Thank you very much.
And I will now open the floor to nominations for the secretary.
I'd like to nominate Greg Stafford Smith as secretary.
I second that.
Okay, we have Mr. Flansbaum and Mr. Calabro nominating Greg Stafford Smith. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close the floor to nominations. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, and congratulations, Mr. Stafford Smith.
Thank you.
Welcome back aboard. I also want to congratulate Mr. D'Elia on his recent election. and reappointment as a member of our township committee. And thankfully, they've once again appointed him to act as liaison to our board, which has been very effective, and we look forward to a productive year. So welcome back aboard, Mike.
Thank you, Steve. Looking forward to it.
Me too.
So we're going to do, Bob, if you have your flag ready, we're going to do a flag salute, and then following the flag salute, we'll ask people for a moment of silence, as we typically do. Sorry, I'm just gonna mute your mic. So we typically do that in memory of our armed forces and other people and so on. And unfortunately, in Lakewood this morning, we had a lot of news of homegrown sorrow. So most everybody here will remember John Franklin, former mayor and township committeeman for a long time, and then director of our public works, who passed away. We've also been notified of the loss of former police officer Matthew Moore, and there was one other, somebody in the police department.
Lorraine Letizia, she was.
Lorraine Letizia. So for those who remember them, we'll ask for a moment of silence in their memory. First, let's do a pledge of allegiance. So if we may, Mr. Kane, why don't you lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We could now just have that moment of silence, ones we've lost. Thank you. I would just ask everybody participating that if you're called on, please note that you've probably muted, just because there's feedback from some mics. So if you want to speak, just check your screen and see that you're properly unmuted to begin to speak. Okay. Anita, we distributed the minutes for December 9th. If everybody had a chance to take a look at that, if you're ready, we would take a motion to it.
Yep, move to accept the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have Thomas Calabro and Greg Stafford Smith first and second. Are there any comments or any questions? All in favor?
I'm going to attend.
Aye.
Okay, and Mr. Flansbaum will abstain. Okay, thank you. Statement of accounts. Anita, do you want to run through a couple of items in the statement of accounts?
The statement of accounts is we start new for 2021. Statement of accounts basically reflects the balances in our account and the transactions that have transpired since January 1st, showing the current balances. As we go along during the year, the statement of accounts grows in size because our transactions are listed individually, so that you all kind of know the activity that's going on.
Yeah, and I will, just one comment of accounts, so I would ask our attorney, Mr. Keene, to maybe reach out to the Schwartzblatt companies, because we made the determination at the end of last year that we could release that escrow amount. So whatever arrangements are necessary to do that, and then that can be released from your trust account, and that doesn't have to be carried on our books anymore.
Will do, Steve. Thanks.
Very good. I will also report, while it's isn't reflected in here yet, that the Blue Clause first payment for 2021 has come in, so that's flowing again. And other revenue items are also in flow, so they will show up in next month's statement. We'll begin to see all those items as usual. Okay, bill list is going to wait until the end, until after we've adopted the necessary resolutions, which is quite a list. Mr. Chairman, if I can, I'll just give a quick couple of statements about the items that are on the agenda under my report, the Executive Director's report. In terms of projects for 2021, our Park and Ride project, which is so important to a number of things, and it's actually it's listed as the last bullet on the items here, but I'll speak about it now. We've been waiting to do this for some time because it's a need. We have many commuters, and as business starts to get back to some semblance of normal, people are starting to commute again to North Jersey or New York or wherever it may be. And the casual street parking in the park it's just not conducive. You know, if eventually we want to petition New Jersey Transit or whomever to actually make a stop in our Park and Ride, that's something we can do when we have a real lot for that. So the Public Works Department construction crew has been fantastic in other things that we've done, and we look forward to working with them, and we hope for that to get started in short order. Following on that quickly will help us to deal with another pain point, which is with a lot of the growth in the park, there's been an increase, unfortunately, of street parking, which becomes an impediment to truck traffic moving freely through, and where we once had a fairly well-established standard of no street parking that got abolished many years ago because of other things. And we've been working through our liaison, Mr. D'Elia, with the Township Committee on a plan for reintroducing some street parking restrictions, which the kind of the trigger for getting that going is building this Park and Ride. So we hope to have that well underway in the coming weeks, and then we can follow on with some new ordinances that the township will introduce to restrict parking on those heavily trafficked streets in the park. And hopefully people will get the clue and we won't have to have heavy enforcement going on. So it's the Park and Ride, which is a really important project for us. We also have, as everybody is aware, we had a really banner year out at the airport in terms of rebirth and growth and just enthusiasm. That's been tremendous, and that is continuing unabated. We even see here in the coldest and most difficult days of winter, when there's next to no traffic, not no traffic, there's next to no traffic, but there's still some activity at the airport. We see the public coming out. There's a lot of interest in it as a destination point, and in the coming months we'll be making hopefully some announcements of enhancements and progress towards the greater vision of complete remaking of the front of the airport that will be more consumer friendly and more friendly to people flying in from other places. The third item I want to talk about is that we're working with a number of the larger land owners or building owners in the park to help them with the recruitment of national tenants. And we'll be sharing more information about that, hopefully in the coming month or two, about some really prominent new additions to the park. It's always a pleasure for me riding down even something like Swarthmore yesterday and seeing the large rider facility, which is a fairly recent addition to the park. And so there's a lot of new lifeblood in the park, and we have a lot of organic growth from the companies that are long-term residents in the park. But there's also quite a lot of new injection of excitement there. So those are good things, and we hope to get back at other things like our signage project and see if we can't past some of the difficulties with rights of way, then we may have to rethink some of that. So Mr. Halverson will be in touch. I believe we're our Parks and Signage Committee, so we'll be talking about that as well. Okay, and then just a few items on tax abatements. I typically, in the past, have reported here when we're asked as part of the township's process of considering tax abatement applications to weigh in from a technical standpoint on qualification. Does the company applying qualify? But also, is it what they're trying to do something productive? And just a few highlights on there. We've seen 40,000 new square feet on Tobin Avenue, 74,000 square feet on Oak Street, 115,000 square feet on Airport Road, and then some smaller industrial and commercial uses. And also on Airport Road, 36 Airport Road, that fancy new office building right before you hit the Parkway entrance and exit on Airport Road. that's really exciting, and that's kind of indicative of more that's going to come in that area. And all of those have recently been approved by the township for the 5-year tax abatement program. And so that speaks to the tremendous growth and activity that's going on, and that's a credit to the work of this board and the business community that we support. Okay. Any questions on any of that? No? You're such a good crew today. Okay. And Mr. Keene, today is not a day for your report, but it is a day for us to congratulate you on your appointment again as attorney for this board, and working together for a good number of years. And I'm pleased to say 2021 hopefully will be a quieter year, but but if not, we know we're in good hands.
Steve, I want to thank you and the chairman and the members, and I appreciate the confidence and look forward to a productive year. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Okay. So committee reports. Anita, do we need a formal reappointment by the chairman, or is it?
No, there's no formal. It's
Okay.
at his discretion.
Bob, we leave it to your discretion to decide if you're going to juggle anybody in any of the subcommittees, but otherwise everybody will find their assignments on various subcommittees. And, I do want to say that the Zoom or WebEx committee meetings are less than ideal, but they're being fairly effective. And I do want to thank everybody for taking the time out, coming in and participating in robust discussions about some of the issues that are before us. So thank you. Okay, Anita, you for the consent and non-consent resolutions. Anita, do you want to take us through the consent agenda? Just kind of tick them off, and then we can take one vote for the whole consent agenda.
Okay, on the consent agenda, I have a resolution. Basically, it identifies the procedures that we are following with regard to our situation in compliance with the governor's executive order. And it basically identifies what we're doing and how we're operating the businesses, the meeting. That's resolution 210101. 210102 is the schedule of industrial commission meetings for the year 2021. 210103 is a resolution designating the depositories of the Lakewood Industrial Commission for the year 2021. Historically, the Industrial Commission follows the depositories that have been adopted by the Township of Lakewood. Resolution 210104, resolution designating official newspapers of the Lakewood Industrial Commission. Again, historically, the Industrial Commission follows the Township of Lakewood's resolution and publications as official newspapers. Resolution 210105 is a resolution releasing the 2020 closed session minutes deemed to have become suitable for release as being resolved. That is a resolution that we have every year, we've passed. Anybody that is requesting any minutes receives closed session minutes by request by Oprah, and those items that are available to be discussed are available. Resolution 210106 is a resolution appointing Mr. Reinman as the secretary's designee. In the event that the secretary is absent, Mr. Reinman acts on his behalf as necessary. So that is the consent resolution, is resolutions number 210101 to 210106.
Can we do these all in one vote?
Consent resolutions.
One vote.
Okay,
I'd like to
so I'll
make
make
a
a
motion.
movement. Oh, go ahead.
To adopt the resolutions 210101 through 210106.
Second.
Okay. I heard a few seconds. We'll give this one to Justin. Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next set is a little bit more complicated because we have to do them one at a time. The non-consent resolutions. Anita, if you could speak to each By name.
Resolution 210107 is the Industrial Commission resolution authorizing the Industrial Commission's temporary budget of $146,102. Basically, we are not prepared at this time to adopt a permanent budget. We are in the process of fine-tuning appropriations to certain projects that we have committed to. So we are working on it, but at this point, we are permitted by the standards to appropriate 25% of our adopted budget for the previous year. And the resolution identifies the amount that we can use at this time for the first quarter of $146,102.
I'll move it.
We're spending all of that. It just means that we're adopting that. Remember, there were a number of large ticket items. And of course, like our park and ride that we're going to build, that's not going to be $10,000. It's going to be some money. So that's the idea behind it.
So moved.
So we have a motion by Mr. Flansbaum. Can we get a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Greg Stafford Smith. I need a roll call, please.
Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson,
He said yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
He said yes too. Okay. Next.
Resolution number 210108 is a resolution qualifying professional services vendors for the year 2021. As you see from the resolutions that were attached, these are just qualifying them. The Industrial Commission separately issues a resolution to award contracts. And at the time of need for professional services, the contract award will be done by resolution and be advertised properly.
Okay, I'll move it.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Please.
Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson,
He said yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yeah, I'm right. I have the window.
I think he said yes.
Resolution 210109 is the resolution accepting the appointment of the attorney Sean Keene. The Township of Lakewood makes the appointment every year at the reorganization, and the Lakewood Industrial Commission has accepted to adopt Mr. Keene's resolution as their own.
I think the Township of Lakewood made a good decision. I'll move that.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schuster.
Okay. Roll call. Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson, Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Okay.
Any alarm move?
All right. 210110 is a resolution accepting appointment of Lakewood Township's 2021 auditing services contract to Holman Frenia Allison. In the same light is that the Township of Lakewood awarded their contract to Holman Frenia Allison for auditing services. The Lakewood Industrial Commission is adopting their resolution and accepting the same auditing to the Lakewood Industrial Commission auditing as necessary. I'd like to take a motion on this. Good.
Motion.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
On roll call, Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson,
He said yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Thank
Oh my. Okay.
Resolution 210111 is a resolution accepting the appointment of Lakewood Township 2021 Industrial Commission Engineer Remington Vernick Engineers. According to the ordinances of the Township of Lakewood, the Lakewood Industrial Commission uses the engineer appointed by the Township of Lakewood as its own general engineer for everyday business.
No, I was just going to say that Remington Vernick is also one of the qualified engineers in our list for projects and so on, so that we would follow the process that Anita described earlier in terms of awards of specific contracts for specific work outside the scope of standard services.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
On roll call, Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson, Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith, Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Okay.
On behalf of the firm, I'd like to thank the commission on a reappointment for another year. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Resolution 210112 is a resolution retaining Anita B. Doyle's as the sole proprietor for administrative management services to the Lakewood Industrial Commission.
So moved.
So, second.
We just reappointed her and she disappeared.
Yeah, you like that? It was nice. She's been a hologram all this time.
I'd like to take I'm sorry,
A roll call.
hands are in the wrong places. Mr. Calabro,
Absolutely.
thank you. Mr. Flansbaum,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. I like the yes ma'am thing, that works. Mr. Halverson, thank you. Mr. Schuster,
Yes, for sure.
thank you. Mr. Alfred Smith,
Yes, with pleasure.
thank you. Mr. Kirschner,
Yes, with pleasure.
thank you.
What the hell is that?
I think you should shoot it.
Resolution 210113 is a resolution authorizing funding of the executive director's expenses and travel allowance for the calendar year 2020.
I'll move that. Those executive directors get around.
Second.
Yeah.
On roll call.
Now, but
Mr. Calabro,
Should have a private jet. Yes.
Yes.
Now you're talking.
Mr. Flansbaum,
yes, but no private jet.
Mr. Halverson, I've lost my check marks. Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes, express charter out of Lakewood Airport.
Now you're talking.
Mr. Kirschner, thank you. The resolution authorizing the maintenance of petty cash. The Industrial Commission has maintained a petty cash account since 2000, I don't know when, 2005. And basically it's to reimburse expenses out of pocket. We haven't touched it for the past year because of COVID doesn't really, we can't go into the office. But we are also authorizing petty cash when we do go back into the office.
I'll move it.
Motion to accept.
Second.
On roll call, Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbrough,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson, Mr. Katz. Oh, Mr. Katz isn't here, sorry. Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Hit it again. Oh my God. That's good. That's a good way to do it.
Res- Okay, we have resolution 210115 is award of contract for professional, unusual and unspecifiable services for marketing and public relations services. And we have selected from the list of submitters the proposal from Fantasy Enterprises. And this is a resolution awarding that contract for 2021. I'd like to
Get a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Schuster, Mr. Flansbrough. Roll call, please.
Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbrough,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson,
Yes, he said yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Just do this. Sideways means you abstain.
Yes. Except I'm abstaining.
It's all good.
I'm abstaining.
Okay, we
I
got
think
you.
Eddie's answering the door.
Okay, resolution 210116 is a resolution accepting Lakewood Township's award of contract for airport engineering and consulting services to DY Consultants. The Township of Lakewood made the award on January 1st to DY Consultants as the airport engineer, and the Lakewood Industrial Commission is in support of that appointment, and we are active with them, and they are actively doing projects with us at this time. And now that in January, they're carrying through to continue with the projects that we're assigning to them.
Right.
So moved.
Second.
On roll call, Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbrough,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson, Mr. Schuster,
Stepped out.
Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think that sound coming from your computer, Bob, is the Kraken. Finally, it shows. Okay, now that we've adopted all of that, Anita, the bill list.
The bill list for the Industrial Commission for this meeting is in the amount of $39,748.32. Unfortunately, yesterday, our VPN went down, and so I manually inputted it and separated it manually by accounts that they're drawn from. Do we have any questions on these bills? They are pretty much standard bills. There are no new projects. And utilities and everything seems to be is standard on these bill lists.
Yeah.
Move to accept the bills.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flans,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson, Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Abstaining on that.
We got you. He's abstaining on that one line. Okay. Very good. Okay. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'll open the floor to anyone from the public wishing to comment. No? Ms. McBride? Mr. Dungy?
I had wanted to say just something real quickly, if that's okay, Mr. Ryman.
Sure. Just if you would give your name and affiliation or location, something so that we have.
Sure. My name is Kevin Dungy. My affiliation is with a company called Solar Landscape. We're at 522 Cookman Avenue in Asbury Park. And I appreciate just a couple moments. I kind of, more than anything, need some guidance. My company is going before the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities with a February 5th application for 8 community solar projects built on industrial rooftops in Lakewood. Before we go to zoning or planning, we have to get approval from the Board of Public Utilities. Without approval, we don't have viable projects. So it all really comes down to that application.
Okay.
As part of the application process, the Board of Public Utilities has asked us to engage with the municipalities in which we're going to be building these projects to let them know exactly what's happening and the benefits these projects bring to the community, and ideally to get the municipal support for the undertaking that we can include in the application. So really, that's the purpose of me being here. I know there's only one town council meeting. I believe that's tomorrow night for the balance of January prior to our February 5th application process. But I just wanted to point out to everybody, because we always get from municipalities, you got to go to zoning and planning. We have to get this approved first. So there are 8 big buildings in Lakewood. I can get everybody the addresses and I'll send that out to everyone. And they're industrial buildings. And what we're going to do is put solar panels on top of them. And then instead of powering the buildings, community solar in the state is this: we power local homes. So the panels we put on those industrial rooftops are going to power 1,000 homes in Lakewood. The whole purpose of community solar is environmental justice, access for all, so apartments, condos, retirement communities. People who can't afford to put solar on their roof but want to be green can now go online and enroll in solar, save money, and never have a panel on their rooftop. So the state's requiring that 51% of the electricity we make is sold to low and moderate income households, and that all households across the board in year 2 of the program, get a 20% discount over what they're paying with JCP&L. So with powering 1,000 homes and with usage for Lakewood, having looked at it, we would be saving residents $220,000, $240,000 a year in utility costs, and none of them ever have to have a panel on their rooftop. So this is kind of the good of community solar. What I'm hoping to do is get the commission's guidance, and how do I get this information to council? I've reached out. I did speak with Councilman DeLea about this just a tiny little bit, just to get some idea about where to go, and this is kind of where I ended up. So,
Okay.
And I was communicating, Mr. Ryman, I think you were on some of the communication with Mr. Donnelly. How do I get this in front? This is something brand new in New Jersey. How do I get this in front of the council?
So I can't speak for the town council, but I will tell you that Township Manager Donnelly and I have discussed this, and I've actually been talking to some people about it, some of the partners that you're working with. My understanding is that it's fairly preliminary. Lakewood is a pretty aggressive adopter as a town of solar. There, if you drive through Lakewood, you'll see many solar projects on commercial buildings, industrial buildings, residences. So I don't think, that's much of a hill to climb to assert that Lakewood is solar friendly. But we're kind of new to this concept of community solar, and we're not really, at least I am not clear yet on what the real ask is. If the ask is, do we support solar? Yes, we support solar. And, I'm not really sure how that plays into your BPU filing. And I'm not sure that the Township Committee has yet reached that level of understanding to pass a resolution in support of, if it's in support of community solar generally, of the concept that the state has adopted, it's probably less of a lift than having them say, we support these specific projects, which we know so little about so far.
Understood, and I appreciate that.
Nothing negative, but, you know, I'm
No, understood.
sure
I think
anybody
what-
understands the leap.
Yeah, what the board is looking for, Mr. Ryman, is just an understanding that we in fact engage with the community, which would be, you know, we engage, and that could be in the form of a letter, but we engage with Solar Landscape. They made us aware of these 8 projects. We understand what they'll bring to our community. For example, with the low to moderate income, I already have Chanel Williams from Oceans Inc. They
Yes.
want to be one of the off takers for the project. So we're going to work closely with Chanel and help his organization with some of the fundraising that they're doing. So we really, for a nonprofit organization, we make charitable donations for every subscriber that they recommend to us. So there's a lot we want to do with this.
Sure.
I think what we're asking for now, if it be from the commission itself, even from you to pass resolution, or the town to a letter or something, is just to say that we've engaged. We've explained it. You understand that an application is ongoing. Really, that's all we're looking for.
Steve, could I weigh in briefly?
Please.
But one of my thoughts would also be a jurisdictional question. You know, do we have the authority to endorse something that's going to be situated on perhaps a private property? I'm not sure what the specific sites are. You know, again, if you're asking for a general kind of across the board approval of the concept of solar, I think Steve commented, but short of that, I believe that on behalf of the LIC anyway, we would need more specifics before we would recommend introduction of a resolution.
Understood. And I will send to you all of the different project locations and kind of an overview of community solar and what it does to hopefully get you comfortable with that. And we're not looking for any type of tacit approval, simply something that we can submit with our application that says we engaged with the town. We'd like it to be in a more meaningful way going forward when we get these things approved. We got 8 of our 10 projects approved in the first round. Most of them are built. The Perth Amboy project, the governor will be there for a ribbon cutting and a kickoff at the end of January. So it's coming. The BPU approved 75 megawatts in the first round, 150 megawatts in round 2. So community solar is kind of here to stay as part of the ongoing initiative. So really what we're looking for is anything that you could give us that we could submit that says that you're aware of what we're doing.
Understood. So I'll circle back with Mr. Donnelly and see if there's something more that we can do. But as our attorney pointed out, you know, we're cautious about, you know, seeming to endorse something that's kind of early in our radar. So,
Understood.
I think,
I'll
Steve,
forward if you'd like. Go ahead.
yes,
I
Mr.
think that he should be in contact with Mr. Donnelly, Pat Donnelly, and also Pat's going to have to talk to Steve Seacare too,
course.
along with what Sean just said.
Yes.
I
Thank
can
you.
send you some sample resolutions that we've gotten from other towns, Neptune and Tin Falls and South Brunswick. You'll see it's pretty basic stuff, but I'll send those along as well.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Appreciate you indulging me, folks. Happy New Year.
Thank you. See you next month, right? Very good. Okay. We can, next on the agenda is comments from the commissioners. Is there anybody who wishes to say something? Maybe our new commissioners, everything old is new again.
I would like to, just for comment, ask that we take a look at the sign committee and engage or ask them to possibly consider some of the beautification ideas at the entrances to the park and along with the signs. And some of the areas that, in particular, Swarthmore Avenue and Cedar Bridge and in and around our to-be new park and ride, something to make it a little bit more inviting. There's other intersections, Oberlin, although it's still under construction, but along with the signs, I'd like to see maybe some vegetation of some sort. It's not necessarily high maintenance, but at least something to draw it, make it appealing.
Yeah.
Good point. I think it's something that we really need to pick up again. You know, we started with that and just sort of got derailed a little bit along the way, but we absolutely need to visit that again.
Yeah. Anybody else?
May I confirm that we have no emails that are coming in with to be included in in the public session? So I just wanted to. I forgot to mention it, but there's no emails that came.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Mr. Chairman, you wanted to say something?
Well, I'm having a little problem on this end, so thank you everybody for supporting me, and thank you for all your time and energy you put into the special session. Hopefully we'll have a good year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And through the chair,
And Bob, I hope you kill whatever it is that's making it.
It's Jurassic Park. I'm going to strangle it.
through the chair, I would just like to thank everybody for reappointment as vice chairman, and congratulations to Tommy and to Greg on their reappointment, and congratulations to Committeeman D'Elia on his reelection this year. And I just want to say that the Committeeman D'Elia, I've said this before in the past, but since the time that I've been on the commission, he is extremely engaged with the commission as our liaison with the Township Committee. He attends every commission meeting, and we really appreciate it because, Steve, you know that's really important that we have that connection with the Township Committee. So thank you, Committeeman D'Elia. And as always, I look forward to a terrific year working with you, ladies and gentlemen. And it's really a pleasure to be on this, to serve on the board with everybody.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Okay. No other
Motion to
comments?
adjourn?
Seeing none? Okay, I heard a
Second.
move. There you go. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thanks all. Happy New Year. And we will see you next month.